Hi, welcome to my channel, The Magic of Math. Today I have a video for you on preparing for a grade 6 state assessment. This is part A of two parts. There's a part A and a part B. There's just a lot of released questions for the year that I'm doing, and I wanted to break it down into two small chunks. So it's just the first half and the second half. One is not different than the other. It's just the order in which our state released them. So again, this is for the state of Massachusetts. We call our state end of the year assessment MCAS. It's from the year 2018, and it's the questions that the state released. They always typically release about half of the questions that the students take. So math teachers throughout our state only see these questions. We have no idea what the questions are, the other half that students were asked. We get to know what the standards were, but not the specific question. And then just a note, our grade 6 students are not allowed to use a calculator during the taking of this test. So again, this is what every grade 6 student should know and be able to do by the end of their grade 6 year. It is the Common Core grade 6 standards. So we follow the National Common Core grade 6 math standards. Again, this is for Massachusetts, and it is the questions that they released from 2018. And no calculators are allowed or permitted during the test. So here is every student in grade 6 is provided a reference sheet, and they can reference this at any point during the state assessment. I'm showing it to you so it fits on the slide in two parts. So one half of the reference sheet is conversions, and it allows a student to see what they don't have to have memorized or what they wouldn't be common knowledge. And then we have area formulas and volume formulas that a student can refer to at any time during the assessment. So I encourage you to use the chapters in my YouTube video and come back to this at any point in time when you are doing your work to see if you need a formula or a conversion. So let's begin. And I'm going to read this question to you, and then I'm going to ask you to pause, try it on your own, and then you're going to come back and check your work. And we're going to follow this throughout the entire video. I have about 13 review questions in here for you, and I really encourage you to pause and do your best work on paper, model your work, show your work, so that you can see where, if you do make a mistake, you went wrong compared to my worked out problem, my exemplar. So here we go. Bill's flower garden has an area of 28 square feet. The rectangular garden is 7 feet long. What is the width of the garden? Please pause now. Come back and hit play when you're ready. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. So the answer is A, 4 feet. How we can explain that is I drew a rectangular garden, and I'm taking down everything I know. From my flower garden, I know that the area is 28 square feet. So I mark in my rectangle that the area of this is 28 square feet. The next bit of information I know is they tell me that the rectangular garden has 7 feet long. So here I know that my area formula is length times width. I know that the area is 28. They told me that the width is 7, the length is 7, and I'm looking for the width. So to solve for this, I'm going to undo this multiply by dividing both sides by 7. And that's the inverse or the opposite, right? 7 times W. How do you reverse that? The inverse of multiply is to divide. Then I know that 28 divided by 7 is 4. And now we can go back and check. If they're telling me that my length is 7, 4 times 7 needs to be the area, and it is. So I know that A, 4 feet, is the answer. Another strategy, because it's multiple choice, is you could have said, well, 7 times something needs to be 28, and you can just go check. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 21 is definitely bigger than 28. That 7 times 4 is 28, so you've done enough there to check. Second question. A freight train traveled 144 miles in 6 hours. At what rate in miles per hour did the train travel? Please pause, come back when you're ready. Welcome back. So the first thing I want to note is that this is a rate. We're looking for a rate, and they're giving me a rate. Miles per hour right here. 144 miles in 6 hours. So I know that that's a special ratio. So the ratio of miles to hours. So I know that this is going to equal my unknown number of miles in 1 hour. So we have to have an equivalent ratio. Cross product property states that 6 times x is equal to 144 times 1. To solve for x, I'm going to divide both sides by 6, and x is equal to 24. 6 goes into 14 twice. With 2 left over, 6 goes into 24 4 times. So my answer is 24 miles per hour. A student has $10. She will save $5 each week. The student wrote the expression shown to represent the amount of money she will have after W weeks, 5W plus 10. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to the student's expression for any value of W? Please pause, come back and hit play when you're ready. Welcome back. So the first thing I want to note is that it cannot be 15W. What somebody did here for this problem was they added these. These are not like terms. We have a variable term and we have a constant term. Those cannot be combined. So the next thing I look at is 50W. So they multiplied. We cannot multiply this. For one, it's separated by an addition sign, and they're not like terms. So 50W is not possible. So now I look at choice C, and I'm going to do the area model for distributing, noting that that means that my side is 5 when the other side is W plus 2. So it's saying I have 2 rectangles here, and one has a side length of W plus 2 and then 5. So if I fill in the boxes, 5W, 5 times 2 is 10. So 5W plus 10 is what you get when you distribute. That's equivalent. So I know that that's the answer. However, I want to show you right here that this would be 5W plus 50 when you distribute here. So we know that that couldn't be the answer. Next question. What is the value of this expression when G is equal to 1.5? 5G squared. Please pause. Hit play when you're ready. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. So the first thing I want to make sure that you remember is that G squared is equal to G times G. And there's also an invisible multiplication sign right here. That is 5 multiplied by G multiplied by G. So now we want to substitute the 1.5 in for G to evaluate. So I'm going to do 5 multiplied by 1.5 multiplied by 1.5. Now because this is repeated multiplication, the order in which you multiply doesn't matter. But I'm going to do it in order just to make it easier. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply 5 by 1.5. So 1.5 times 5, lining up my digits, not my decimal points. 5 times 5 is 25. Bring down the 5, carry the 2. 5 times 1 plus 2 is 7. Now I need to add 1 decimal point because there's 1 decimal point in this number. So you count all your decimal points in both of these values. There's 1. So my answer to 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. Now I need to do 7.5 multiplied by the last and final number, 1.5. Here I'm lining up my last digits. It ends up that my decimal points lined up, but it doesn't matter in multiplication. So you're going to do 5 times 5 first, which is 25. Bring down the 5, carry the 2. 35 plus 2 is 37. Now I'm going to add my 0 and multiply 1 times 5 and 1 times 7. Then I can add 5, 2, carry the 1, 3 plus 7 is 10, plus my carried 1 is 11. I go back up here and count my decimal point. I need to go over 2 places. So my answer is 11.25. So the product of all 3 values is 11.25 or 11 25/100ths. A pumpkin patch has a width of 432 inches. What is the width of the pumpkin patch in yards? Now I'm going to tell you right now this is a conversion problem. And this conversion, students in our grade 6 are expected to understand the unit measures. There's no conversion factors for this on your reference sheet, so you don't need to go back and refer to that reference sheet for this. You need to be able to recall this from your own memory. Please pause and come back and hit play when you're ready. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. So I have 432 inches. Okay, that's my pumpkin patch, and this is my width. I'm just giving you a visual. First thing I need to know is I need to get to yards. So I know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot and that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So think of a ruler. There's 12 inches on a ruler, and we call a ruler a foot. Then you can have a yardstick, and it takes 3 feet, 36 inches. So now some students might say, well, I know that there's 36 inches in a yard, but I'm going to walk you through both conversions. So when we know there's 12 inches in 1 foot, that's a ratio, 12 to 1. And I want to know if there's 12 inches, 432 inches will be how many feet? Cross product, 12x equals 432. Divide both sides by 12, and I get that x is going to be equal to 36 feet. So what I've just done is converted 432 inches to feet, and it's 36 feet. Now I need to use my 3 feet in a yard to convert my feet to yards, because that's what they're looking for. So my ratio is going to be that there's 3 feet in 1 yard, 36 feet in x yards. Do cross product, 3 times x is equal to 36. Divide both sides by 3, and we find out that there are 12 yards is equivalent to 432 inches. So my final answer, 12 yards. What is the value of this expression? -8. Go ahead and pause. Come back and hit play when you're ready. Welcome back. I'm going to put up at the top here a connection to a video that I've made on the invisible 1. There is an invisible 1 right here. And when we have a sign missing, there's no operation between this negative sign and the parentheses, it's always multiplication. So this is -1 multiplied by -8. To note a rule, when you multiply numbers with the same sign, the product, when you multiply, is always positive. So -1 multiplied by -8 is going to be +8. So we come over to here, and our answer is D. Miss Smith and Mr. Lin are both mathematics teachers. These graphs show the amounts of money Miss Smith and Mr. Lin charge for different numbers of hours of tutoring. So we can see this is Miss Smith's graph on tutoring charges, Mr. Lin's graph on tutoring charges. Based on the graphs, how much more does Miss Smith charge for 6 hours of tutoring than Mr. Lin for 6 hours of tutoring? Go ahead and pause. Come back and hit play when you're ready. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. So the first thing I want to do is come over to Miss Smith's graph here. And 6 hours of tutoring, we go up to 6 hours and over to 240. So Miss Smith's charges $240 after 6 hours of tutoring. Mr. Lin, we go over to 6 hours and go up to that data point over, and notice that he charges $180. Remembering that they asked us more. So Miss Smith was $240. Subtract the $180, and we get that Miss Smith is $60 more for 6 hours of tutoring than Mr. Lin. So my answer is B. One added note that these graphs are a little misleading. They look identical, but you have to notice the intervals over here. And it's okay to do this on a graph, but people often do it to mislead the reader. So these are increasing by $40 each hour. Over here, Mr. Lin's graph is increasing by $30 each hour. But somebody could look at these and say, oh, it doesn't matter who I go to because the graphs are the same. However, if you really look at the fine print, Miss Smith charges $60 more for a total of 6 hours than Mr. Lin. Here you go. Here's some circle graphs. These circle graphs represent the number of 6th grade and 7th grade students on an academic team at 2 different middle schools. So we have the South Middle School on academic teams, and then the Jefferson Middle School on academic teams. So you have your circle graphs, and we have part A. So this is a 4-part question. It's what we call an open response, and students are graded on a scale of 0 to 4. So each part is worth a point. It is very important that you note that these are show or explain how you got your answer. So in our state, we have correctors that actually go and correct each of these open response questions and evaluate students on that scale. So go ahead and pause, make sure you show or explain in writing for practice, and come back and hit play when you're ready to check. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. So here we have South Middle School students on academic teams, and I want to note a couple of things. First off, that they said based on the data in the circle graph for South Middle School, so I had to identify the correct circle graph. Second, they're referring to how many 6th graders are on this academic team. So I'm really concerned with this part of the circle. And it's not giving me any numerical reference here. Here I know that there's a total of 75 students in this entire circle. So in this circle we're represented 6th grade students and 7th grade students, and when those are all combined, the total circle is 75 students. It tells me that 64% of the 75 students are grade 7 students, but I need to know how many are grade 6. So over here, if 100% of them minus the 64% that are grade 7 students, that leaves that 36% of my circle is going to be grade 6 students. So that's my percent. I was asked what percent of students on academic teams are 6th grade students, and the answer is 36%, and this is how I would show or explain my work. Now, this math is enough to get you here, but you could also write a small paragraph or a few sentences to also explain that. Our state accepts either the math work or written work. Here's part B. Based on the data in the circle graph, which I brought forward for you, and our answer from part A, for South Middle School, what is the total number of 6th grade students on academic teams? Show or explain how you got your answer. Pause now, come back and hit play when you're ready. Welcome back. So the first thing to note is now they're asking what is the total number, not the percent. So I know that there are 36% of the total 75 is what I need. 36% of our total middle school team are 6th graders. That's how we write it. Mathematically, we're going to change 36% to a decimal, moving the decimal 2 spaces to the left and dropping the percent symbol. Of means to multiply. 36% of 75, I want to multiply the decimal of the percent by 75. So we come over here, we line up our digits. 6 times 5 is 30, 0, carry the 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. And you can ignore the 0 times 5. It's just 0. Bring down a 0, and then multiply. 7 times 6 is 42. Here's my 2. Carry the 4. 3 times 7 is 21, plus my carried 4 is 25. Now I need to add 0 plus 0 is 0. 8 plus 2 is 10. Write down the 0. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 5 is 7, and then I have 2. Now I need to go back up. I have 2 decimal places to account for, so I need to put my decimal 2 spaces to the left, giving me 27. So 36% of the students, of the 75 students on the team, 27 students are in grade 6. Here's part C. Based on the data in both circle graphs, which school has a greater number of 6th grade students on academic teams, and show or explain how you got your answer. So I brought forward the Jefferson circle graph. We've been using the other circle graph for South, and I brought forward our answer from part B. So we've already discovered that South has 27 grade 6 students, and here's your circle graph from Jefferson. So please figure out which school has the greater number of 6th grade students and show or explain your work. Come back and hit play When you're ready, go ahead and pause. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. So looking at this circle graph, I know that 45%, we're looking for 6th graders, 45% of 80 is what I need to find out. So rewriting 45% as a decimal of multiplied by 80. So here's my multiplication. First row is zeros because 0 times any value is 0, and then I need to do the 8. So bring down a 0. 8 times 5 is 40. Here's my 0, carry my 4. 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 is 36. Easy to add that one. And then I got to identify that I have 2 decimal places. So bring my decimal 2 places to the left, and my answer is 36. So South has 27 students in the 6th grade, and Jefferson has 36 students, and the greater one is Jefferson. So your answer here, because it said which school has the greater number of 6th grade students, would just be Jefferson. Here's part D. The circle graph represents the number of male and female 7th grade students on academic teams at Jefferson Middle School. Remembering that we discovered that Jefferson had 36 students in the 6th grade. So, based on the data in the circle graph, what is the total number of 7th grade female students on academic teams at Jefferson Middle School? So if our total students was 80, and now we need to know the 7th grade students, we need to find out first that 36 of the students were in grade 6. That was from our previous solution in a different part. So 80 subtract 36 tells me that I have 44 grade 7 students at Jefferson Middle School. Now I want to know how many of these 44 grade 7 students are female. My circle graph tells me that 25% of the 7th grade students are female. So I want to know 25% of 44 to know which ones are female. Rewriting 25% as a decimal and multiply by 44. Now I have 0.25 times 44. 4 times 5 is 20. 0, carry the 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Bring down a 0. 4 times 5, again, it's going to be another 100. It's 4 again, times 25. Add, I get 1100. Check for my decimals. I need 2 decimal places. So my answer is 11. So 11 of the 7th grade students are female. Here we have a graph, and it tells us that Wendy has plotted the points J and K on a coordinate plane as shown. Now, Wendy will plot a point L so that when connected, the points J, K, and L will form a right triangle. Which of the following choices could be the location of point L? Go ahead and pause. Come back and hit play when you're ready. Welcome back. So here's my strategy. You may have done something a little differently. I went ahead and plotted each of the points. So there's the point represented by choice A, -7, 1. Then I have -1, 7. Then I have 2, 4. And I have 4, 2. So I've color-coded these to match. So choice A is red, B, C, and D. The next thing I did was to draw in a right triangle. So I knew that this had to be one side. So I knew that red had to go out. There was no way it could be red. And then in order for it to come up here to the blue dot, I would not have been able to form a right angle. And the same thing with the yellow. I would not be able to make a right angle in here. It would not line up on the grid. So remembering that any one of these grids on the coordinate plane, any one of those squares, is a square. So green is our answer. That is the only one that when I connect all 3, I will have a right triangle. So the vertex I'm looking for, the ordered pair, is C, 2, 4. Victoria scored a total of 9 points in the first basketball game of the season. She scored 5 points per game in each of the other X basketball games she played that season. Which of the following expressions represents the total number of points Victoria scored in the basketball games for the whole season? Please pause. Come back when you're ready to check your work. welcome back. So the first thing I want to do is note that she scored a total of 9 points in the first basketball game. So she starts with 9. Then we're going to add to that 5 points per game in her other basketball games. So per, multiply 5 times the number of games she played, because it's 5 points for each game. So if she played 1 game, she got 5 times 1 or 5 points. If she plays 2 more games, 5 times 2, she gets a total of 10 points. So the X represents the number of games she plays, and we want to multiply, remember it's invisible, by 5 points for each of those games. When we add that together with the 9 points she had from her first game, then we have our expression. And this algebraic expression would give you the total number of points scored for any number X games that she played. And here it is in our multiple choice, 9 plus 5X. So there you have it. There is half. This is part A, the first video. You'll have to check for my second video for part B. So these questions, these 13 questions, represented 1/4 or 25% of our state assessment from 2018. I hope it was a great review for you and that you discovered more about the magic of math. So thanks for joining me here at my channel, The Magic of Math. I hope you'll subscribe and get future notifications of future videos and check out my other videos on my channel. Please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you have a great day.